We're going to make a poolish to start, and a poolish is just equal parts by weight water and flour. So we're going to add in, I'm going to do about 200 grams of water. Next, I'm going to add literally just a pinch of yeast. That's it. Then we whisk to dissolve. We add exactly the same amount by weight of flour. This is bread flour. So 200 grams of lukewarm water or cold water and 200 grams of bread flour. We stir to mix. And we just mix. You can use a wooden spoon. I'm using a silicone spatula. We're not going to need it. We're just going to mix it. Then we're going to cover in plastic wrap and let it rest at room temperature overnight. All right, we're going to continue making our ciabatta. So we have our poolish here, which is just 100% hydration of bread flour and water and a pinch of yeast. Once you see bubbles kind of forming on the top like this, it's been proofing overnight. My kitchen is pretty cool right now because it's winter. I'm going to add 160 grams of water. I've warmed the water a little bit since it's so cold in my kitchen. Okay, so that means we have a total of 360 grams of water in here, and I'm going to add about 7 grams of yeast. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and mix this. This way we can dissolve the yeast into the poolish and the water. There we go. You can see it just breaking up. Beautiful. Now this ciabatta bread is, we're going to do as a 90% hydration. I've done it as 100% hydration. I've done it at 85, 87.5%. And today we're just going to go for 90. It works at all these percentages. I think the 100% hydration is maybe a little bit too light, but it does work and it's quite delicious too. Okay. So now that we've got this in here, we're going to go ahead and add in our flour. So we've added 200 grams of flour, giving us a total of 400 grams of flour and 360 grams of water. That's exactly 90% hydration. And I'm going to add 2% of salt. That 2% of 400 grams is 8 grams. So again, I'm adding pink Himalayan salt, but you can add whatever kind you want. So there we have it. I like to add it to the flour before kneading, just to keep it from contacting the yeast too soon. But honestly, it doesn't matter. You could add it even before this. You could also add some olive oil or some honey or sugar. If you were to add those elements, do not go over 5%. So I'm not using any of those. I'm going with a very, very pure, just traditional bread. So it's 4 ingredients: bread flour, yeast, warm water, or just water, and salt. So again, the percentages for this, it's 90% hydration, 2% salt. And now I'm gonna knead it. I've got this in my stand mixer here to knead. You could knead this by hand as well, but it's a super high hydration dough, so it's definitely easier to knead in the stand mixer. So I'm going to let this knead on slow to let it incorporate. Then we're going to knead on medium-high until it starts to form some gluten, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So you can see how it's kind of starting to incorporate the flour from the sides here. I've got this going on kind of a medium speed, and this is going to go on for several minutes. Just want to show you how the gluten is developing. You can kind of see it kind of stretching, almost like kind of like developing a web-like texture, stickiness. Because this is such a high hydration dough, it's going to take extra long to develop. In fact, we're going to have to let it rest and do what's called coil folds in order to fully develop the gluten. And I'll show you those techniques as well. I just want to show you how the gluten is starting to strengthen. It's pulling a little bit more off the sides. I got it mixing on high now. So the temptation when it's so wet is to want to add flour to it. Do not do that. Okay, so this looks like a really wet dough, and it is. Do not add flour. And we won't actually be adding flour until we get to the final stage, which is shaping. So just fight the temptation and just learn a few techniques on how to handle high hydration dough, and you'll be extremely well rewarded for it. Okay, so once the dough is pulling off the sides like this, it's ready. Okay, so I was just patient. Don't add any flour to it, okay? Now to get the dough off, you're going to just wet your fingers lightly with a little water and very quickly wipe the dough off the dough hook. So I went ahead and transferred my dough into just a larger mixing bowl here. And yeah, we're going to let it rest and proof. And I'll show you how to do the coil folds after it's rested. We're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes or so. And we're going to perform a coil fold every 30 minutes. And every single time we do that, the structure of the dough, the gluten structure is going to strengthen a lot. And after we repeated this 3 or 4 times, it's going to be strong enough to be ready to shape and to bake. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do a coil fold here. We've not rested yet, but I'm going to show you the technique. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do a coil fold. I've moistened my hands with a little water here. The key to dealing with a very wet dough is when you're touching it in very short amounts of time. You don't want to keep staying in contact long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly get my hands under it. See, if I'm quick with my hands, it's not going to stick to my fingers. And what I'm going to do is come under and lift gently. You don't want to break the dough, you just want to stretch it. Okay, so again, do not add any flour to your hands. I'm just stretching it. And you can see how I folded that there, and now I'm going to do the same with this side here. And it's pulling slowly, and I'm not forcing it. I'm letting the dough have enough time to really pull that off there, okay? Then we're going to do the same. I've rotated the dough 90 degrees, and we're going to do the same in this orientation. And I'm just rolling it under itself. And that is a coil fold. So what we're doing is we're stretching the gluten on the surface to create tension. We're going to repeat this every 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times, and you're going to see how much stronger this dough becomes at that point. So now we cover it and we let it rest. 30 minutes. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do final shaping. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take some flour, and we're going to flour the top of this quite well. We don't want it to be sticking. So this is the one time you'll actually use flour. I'm going to dust my work surface here, again with plenty of flour. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spatula and work down the sides of this, just getting flour down so it comes off a little bit easier. I'm going to turn this right over into my workstation. And all we're going to do is we're just going to very gently shape this. To do this, I'll show you. Very simple. Okay. I'm going to dust the top of this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a bench scraper here and cut this. So we have rough rectangles, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this right over to some parchment paper that I've set over a pizza peel. This will make transferring to the oven much easier. So just very quick with your fingers, pick it up and lift, just like that. And that's pretty much shaped for us. We can just kind of rough shape it into the nice rectangles we want. And now I'm going to just We could bake this right off. I'm going to let it rest for about 20-30 minutes, and then we're going to bake this. I'm baking at 450 degrees, pretty high temperature. Just to get a really nice oven spring, brown the top, and we're going to have some delicious ciabatta rolls soon. All right, our ciabatta is done. Take a look at that. We're going to let it cool a little bit. Yeah, this is beautiful stuff here. Look at that incredible rise. And when I cut this open, you're going to get to see how deliciously light and airy this is. I did bake this on a baking steel. It just helps breads bake really well. So I recommend doing that too, but you can do this without a baking steel. Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, now the bread has cooled. Look at that beautiful ciabatta. We're gonna go ahead and open this bad boy up. Oh yeah, crazy soft here. It's just gotta make a mean sandwich. All right, ready for this? Look at that. Smells incredible. You see how soft that is? That is ciabatta bread right there. And now we're going to make ourselves a sandwich. All right, we got our smoked turkey, okay, from Thanksgiving, and I'm going to just slice some thin slices of this. Super tender turkey. Look at that beautiful turkey. We've got some stone ground mustard and some honey. We're going to mix together to make some honey mustard. Sliced turkey and the honey mustard. And now we're going to do a little salt and pepper on top. And my special garlic powder seasoning. All right. We're going to close it up. There you have it. Look at that. And there's a cross section right there. You could do pesto. You could do melted cheese, caramelized onions, lots of things you could do. Just wanted to show you one preparation. All right, take a look at that. Super soft. You could toast the bread, of course, I usually do. Olive oil on a pan, but let's just go simple here just to show you what this looks like. That's delicious. Try this out.